Alright, so this is a high plat tracer and a draw. Almost diamond. Very
Symmetra
close.
top. Symmetra top.
Okay, so right off the bat here, like I'm already worried because you're flanking, which is cool and all, but your team is dive and they're moving very fast. So they, in case anyone can't see them, are already on point, high ground, about to jump to point, high ground. And so they are engaging right now, effectively in a 5v6, because your enemies are going to be roughly all within this circle here. But you're all the way back here, and you're probably going to go around or up top here. And either way, it'll be an extended amount of time until you're in the fight. And so your team is literally fighting a 5v6 right now. And that can either be fixed through communication, telling them that you're not ready yet, or not taking flank routes when your team is going to beat you there. Yeah, so look at this. Like your team is fighting, and thankfully that like they are so far winning, but they are fighting 5v6 right now. Same thing happens to a lot of Sombras. They just spend too long out of the fight, and then their team ends up losing a lot of fights because it's 5v6. Okay, so your team lost this essentially because it was 5v6, but also then like here, like why are you trying to farm the Genji? Like I understand that he was a little low, but that's just not who you're generally going to farm as Tracer unless you're really confident that you can get that kill, because it's just not your job. He has escape abilities, and you're gonna have a rough time a lot of times. And your team lost that because their main source of damage was missing, so they couldn't dislodge those tanks. That's why they were able to get like the Zen kill, because they can dive on that, but your Winston can't really effectively dive like the Orisa. So again, we're just fighting the Genji the entire fight. Our team's already lost this. I don't know why we're going in. You're down 3. Like right now, we're just staggering. You got very lucky there. Nice, nice play though. Like here, we have spent so much time flanking. Like from basically about here on, our team was in the poke stage, fighting stage, not really like a full team fight stage. And for this entire time, we're just kind of standing around. Like I know Discord is scary and you're worried about it, but the Zen has left you. He doesn't care. You gotta see that turret there. You're getting farmed by a turret on the bus that you can see right here. So I don't know why you would alt right here when you could see that you could kill her with just a bullet or two, and you were down both of your tanks and they were only down their Zen. And so you know you're gonna have a rough push, and it almost felt like you ulted because you know you were gonna die. So now you're down both your tanks and your main damage. And so unless your ult got like 3-4, which your pulse bomb just isn't generally going to get, that wasn't going to make that a won or a lost fight for your team either way. And so it sort of worked out for your team, but definitely something that I would look more into, because you could have killed her just by shooting her, and then you'd have your pulse bomb here, and that stagger right here could be this entire point. Another just general tip, something that I'll probably mention forever, is that you haven't hit tab almost at all. You have hit tab a couple times when you died, and that was about it. But you just gotta check it occasionally more, because that's how you're gonna know if they've gone like Brig or something, and next time you go in for that Zen, you're gonna have a really bad time. And right here, just so you know, like, what I would have done here, and it's not that what you did was wrong, you unfortunately missed, but that's whatever. If I'm not confident that I'm going to hit this stick here, first goal obviously would be to hit the stick, but if I'm not confident that I can do this, you have 3 heroes that don't really have any sort of rapid movement ability at all. You can just stick the ground like right below the Zen here, and you would almost guaranteed get at least someone. And sticking the ground isn't something I generally recommend, but when you aren't confident that you're able to get the stick, it at least has a higher chance than a stick that could over or undershoot your target. Unlucky. It's a good call. Definitely a good call. Your team wasn't winning that staggering there. And think about what you're doing up top here. Like, you're not doing anything up top here. Even when your team's your setting, maybe, you maybe want to wait a tiny bit of time so that the enemy team can't just hunt you down. But go start chilling in their backline so that you're in a good position to farm the Zen. That was a nice stick. So you're in the good position to farm the Zen or anything. But like, standing up top there isn't doing anything for you. Nice stick, but my complaint about it is this. And this is, I wasn't paying attention because I was talking. This is exactly what I wanted to see. Down 1. Down 2. Stick. I won't even call it down 3 because you couldn't, your Brig died like while you stuck. But again, another time where the fight was pretty much lost. If not lost, it was very low chances of winning, and we used our ultimate. And then like, we're still in there fighting. Like, you're actually down 5 when you're fighting. It was just you. And so all you're doing there is staggering. Why did we recall here instead of blink? Yeah, no, I don't get it. You wasted your recall there. You had a blink even, and you weren't even taking that much chip because of the armor. You could have let it keep going, or if you wanted to get out of it, you should have blinked instead of wasted your recall. It's unfortunate. So far, I mean, just off of watching the first round, you were late to a lot of fights. Even the fights that you were the earliest to, like what I was just talking when you were holding that high ground on point 3, you were still late to the engagement because you weren't in the proper position to start flanking when your team went in. Ideally, in a full dive comp like that, your tanks are what starts the team fight, but oftentimes you're what kind of start the poke fight, because if you can get a pick on the Zen or something like that, it's nutty. And then if you can't get a pick, once your team starts the full team fight, then you can go in for the Zen or go farm the Orisa or something like that, and you can be a lot of help, you know, helping them really secure those kills. But because you were late to a lot of fights, your Winston had already died by time you were going in. Right at the end there, I wasn't paying close enough attention to it the whole time, and I want to pay more attention to it now because there was other issues I was looking at. But right at the end there was a couple questionable blinks, and not that they were bad, but just that they were kind of useless. And same like with that recall, like I called, like you would have just blinked and had a perfectly good time. You knew those turrets were there from here. You could see them on the teleporter. So I would really question why you did that, and that might be just a general game sense thing. A lot of Overwatch players seem to have an issue with permanence because there's not very many permanent abilities, like Sim's turrets, like Torb's turret, like Junkrat's trap. There's just not very many of them, but you can see that they were here. And so when you came back out, that's hilarious that that happened to you, but it was so obvious that it was going to happen to you. So, like, why are we just chilling here? Like, what are we accomplishing? If this sim wouldn't have been an idiot, which, as you climb more, less and less sims are going to be idiots. But why, like, there was nothing for us to do there. We're not on the flank. We're not in our front line. We're really just in a not useful position, which makes our job harder than it needs to be. Yikes. That blink into the wall almost killed you. So look at this right here. Like, okay, so you blink over here. Why not just shoot her here? And this is something that lower elo tracers do all the time. I mean, non-stop. It almost feels like you have to blink to reload when that's not the case. Like, you could totally just stand here and strafe and reload and shoot her here, and then you have a whole extra blink to use in this fight. But instead you blinked over here for what reason? Okay, and again we're having the same issue where we're not on the flank, but we're not retreating, but we're not getting poked. Like, we're just kind of, the whole time we've been in that side room there, we're just kind of chilling, which is unfortunate. Also, if you're going to do that, you got to pulse bomb Diva's mech earlier. She was already gone by the time you did it. So right there is when you need to pulse bomb it, as soon as it starts to break. You were probably 2 to 3 seconds late there. It's not that that right room that you've been holding is a bad room, it's that your indecisiveness in this room has been wasting a lot of time, which is almost the same thing about how you were late to the team fights on your offense. Like, why did we recall there? We wasted our recall. And the only reason that we might not have had a blink there is because we blinked into the wall. So we gotta watch that a little bit more. Do you think your healers really wanted you to wake up that nanoed monkey there? Another example of just blinking when you don't need to. Like that, I don't know why you blinked straight into a Symmetra orb. And it's actually like, a lot of tracers think that they can get as close as possible to their target and that's how they get the kill. But it's actually really difficult to hit those bullets when you're too close on Tracer. And her fall off isn't insane. Like, there is a nice medium range that you can be at. It's still way closer than most heroes, but you don't have to be right next to your target.
Experience tranquility.
The turrets are definitely what killed you here. Like, I don't want to say that it was not the turrets, because it was, but okay, so here it is, my bad. So the turrets are definitely what killed you here. I don't want to say it wasn't, but even if the turrets weren't there, you were going into, I think, 4 targets just on a straight line, which maybe works for you now, but that's not going to work for you as you get higher ranking and people get better aim. Just go in a building and flank. Like, if you want to go for one of those quick stick kills, there's no reason to go in a straight line at your targets. So we did have no blinks there. So this style of Tracer that you're playing right now is much more appropriate for your team comp, kind of making sure that you're around the team fight, hitting like smaller flank routes. But you played this exact same style when you were playing Dive. And so I don't know if this is just kind of how you always play, but just like any hero, like there is different styles and adjustments that you need to make based on your team comp and your enemy's team comp. But you don't even really probably know your enemy's team comp because we haven't hit tab at all. So all the way back there, the Discord orb was still on you. So I'm glad that you didn't dive down there, because if their team has any... Why did we pulse bomb? Your pulse bomb usage is super questionable. The only good one was because a Genji jumped in front of you unintentionally. This is good. This is so good. Now the Zen should be expecting this, but this is beautiful. 100% the right choice. At this point, yeah, go farm the Zen again. No one else died close enough to him. Okay, at this point you're probably waiting too long. The monkey died and stuff as well, so you know that they're coming back together now. They've decided. Yep, and there's the ride coming back at the same time. Must have switched, but we don't know that because we haven't hit 10. There you go. Love seeing that little tab blink. I feel like you just got confused whether or not the Genji was there or not, and that's alright. It happens to everyone. See? You stuck the floor and there it was. You could probably farm that diva out of her mech pretty easily. But again, that's just different styles of Tracer. Farming the diva out of her mech versus flanking right here is just two different choices that neither one of them is really right or wrong. Although she had bomb. Like, why did we blink there? Why? Everything is just fine where we're standing. And we blink into the turret that's shooting us. We are totally cool here. Chilling, farming diva. Turret starts shooting us. So if anything, we need to back really hard. It's just diva turning around to shoot you. Like, her guns are not a big threat to you as Tracer. And we blink into the turret and team that's killing us. I don't want to say you like threw at the end, but you kind of did because you killed yourself in an overtime stall scenario where you had a lot of teammates alive still. Your Zen could have done something if he could have farmed trance. Your monkey might have been able to have a better time if you had gotten a kill. Why are we blinking like this? We really gotta watch our blink usage, especially like later in this game. It's gotten much worse. Like, we know there's a wall behind us. It's not a secret. So you had your recall that whole time, which could have kept you in the fight and healed. and instead you went for a health pack that it's not that you should always assume that health packs are gone, but if you have a way to self-heal easier, especially when your team is up, like you've gotten a couple picks, you should do that to make sure that you can stay in the fight and help your team clean up. It's literally your job oftentimes as Tracer to clean up. So, permanence, right? We mentioned this earlier. So turrets are right here. So I'm curious if anything comes out of that, if you call that to your team, anything. Well, you're not going to call it to your team because you're not in voice chat, which is something that'll help you climb right away.
Don't worry, don't worry. We have enough time. We have enough time. We can try again. We can try again. Don't worry.
And if you were in voice chat, you could tell your team that you can touch, so they can take all the time
Why
they
to
want.
me? Why to me? Why to me? Why to me?
Why would you let that Brig know that you're there? That made no sense.
Why to me? Why to me?
You're
Why to
not
me?
gonna
Why to me?
kill the Brig here. And so letting her know that you're there essentially just lets her box you out very easily, because to go around takes forever here. Yeah, you let this Brig kill you here. Permanence. There was the turret still in the exact same spot. That would have been something better to shoot than the Brig when we were in that room. Definitely unfortunate. And definitely didn't need to end that way. I don't, especially at the end there, I don't understand why we just shot the Brig right there, because I mean Brig was basically made to counter Tracer, and we saw what happened. It still goes like that, especially when you're boxed in like a small room. Sure, she doesn't have the one-shot combo anymore, which is fantastic, but she has very easy ways to kill you still. But overall, first and foremost, you were late to almost every single fight. Second, your alt usage was not solid. Just work on it. If you are really inconfident in your sticks, then start working on either sticking the ground or sticking like a tank or like a torb. That damage to those big targets, even if it doesn't kill them, can still be massive. I mean, like sticking an Orisa 400 health is such a big deal, you know what I mean? And should make her such an easy kill, especially when your team's like running dive. You stick an Orisa and then the Winston jumps on her, like that should be an instant death for her. So out of the fight, ultimate usage, and then blink slash recall usage would definitely be my last one. Blinks, just in general, there's just times where you're blinking where no one is looking at you, no one is shooting you. You're blinking into walls quite commonly, which sucks because you're getting rid of really what makes Tracer insane. And then like there's times where you could blink where you should have recalled or didn't recall when you should have blinked or whatever the case is, but you need to make sure that you're selecting the right ability to use, because like not having your recall available as Tracer is massive. I mean, changes the way that you play entirely. And in the same way, using too many blinks to accomplish what a recall could have is also massive, because then you're sitting there with no blinks. And so look at that usage, and I guarantee you'll start having a lot better time. And join voice and hit tab.